Good morning and welcome to Race Industry Now, the weekly webinar series from EPARTRADE, presented to you by ARP, Performance Plus Global Logistics, Shop Monkey, PIC, and Fifth Third Bank Motorsports. I am Francisque Savignan, the founder and CEO of EPARTRADE, the global platform for the performance and racing industry. This is episode 343, and we're going to be talking with Rowe Electronics. With me this morning are Judy Kin, the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and our wonderful host, Mr. Brad Gilly. Judy?
Good morning, everybody. You know, we are completely full on these tech webinars all the way through this year. And in fact, we have a short list of people coming on early next year. And we're now in the planning stages of our 4th annual, hard to believe, Race Industry Week that we co-produce with Racer and Speed Sport. And those dates are November 27th through December 1st. And this might be exciting news for you as well, Brad, that some of our webinars now are going to be aired on Speed Sport 1. So that's a new, new upcoming good news for us. So that's exciting news. So on to you, Brad.
I think that's very exciting news, and really happy to hear that, and looking forward to seeing the continuing growth and all of that. So this is wonderful. I'm really looking forward to today. I spent some time talking with Steve Rowe yesterday for a while, and the products we're going to be talking about here today might be products that you don't even know you need. This is one of those that, definitely watch and realize exactly what they can do. But our topic today, power distribution module and intelligent power distribution by Rowe Electronics. And joining us now is Steve Rowe, the president and CEO of Rowe Electronics. And Judy, Francis, we look forward to seeing you guys here in just a little bit. And I can't wait to talk about what we're going to talk about here, over the next 45 minutes or so. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But Steve, welcome. It's great to see you. It was great to talk with you yesterday. And like I said, I'm really excited about this because I think what you have to offer for racers in so many different ways is something that some people might not either know they need, and you have a better solution for it. How you doing today?
Good morning, Brad. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Yeah, no problem. Well, tell us a little bit about Rowe Electronics, how you got started, and some of the products that you have, and some of what we're going to be talking about today.
Rowe Electronics was started about 27 years ago, and we actually started with the RF product and making wireless control systems for industrial equipment. And we developed a method of manufacturing ruggedized electronics. We got a chance in late 2005 to build a power distribution module for a motorcycle enthusiast, and so we applied the principles and the methods that we had developed for the RF and built the PDM 60, and have been further refining and developing ever since.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned motorcycles, and that's where I'm familiar with the type of products that you use, because for me, like a lot of people, especially ones who go long distances, we like to accessorize with lights and horns and all kinds of different things like that. But for the racing community, what you have to offer, and I know you have a great background in motorcycles and UTV, and we certainly have a lot of racers here on EPARTRADE who participate in that, but also getting into automotive racing and some of the things that what you have to offer can help out there. Let's just talk about what makes your product special and what makes it unique, especially as it relates to just size and how discreet it is and how easy it makes it for a lot of the things that we're doing now.
Well, coming off the UTV, ATV, and motorcycle world, we were tasked with building a very small product because there are no places to put anything on a lot of motorcycles. And that carried over into the race, SCCA racing. Our first experience was a fellow in South Africa that had a Morgan, and he wanted to completely replace the electrical system with the PDM, and it lightens things up. He stuck it under the dash, programmed it up to perform the way he wanted it to work, and it worked well. So we've expanded into drag racing applications, more SCCA applications.
That's wonderful. By the way, I do want to remember folks again, if you have a question as we're going through this presentation, feel free to type it into the chat and ask it. And I have a feeling as we go along, some folks are going to for sure, because this is really interesting. You know, what's great about the products you have, I mean, this is just such a simple system to use in that, you know, you hook it up to your battery, whatever components that you want to run, you can run it right off of this system. You have an iPhone and an Android app where you can actually program, change parameters, and do different things like that. If you would, Steve, give us a little bit of an overview of just maybe some of the things that people are using this for, and again, the options for accessories that you might have.
Well, accessories, obviously, they're used for complete vehicle applications in some vehicle applications. So they're used to basically run the entire system or support the entire electrical system on the car or boat, motorcycle. Anything that you would like to drive that you need to protect, you can hook onto this within the limits. They have a maximum limit on the device, and then it has a maximum output of each of the outputs for amperage for your trip level. You can set the outputs in quarter amp increments to trip where you want, and you can tune that with the app and with the dashboard in the case of the PDM 60 to work exactly the way you want it to. And then you can also use inputs. So you can, if you're familiar with electronics, the and/or protocol for a lot of times for PLCs is how this works. And the concept of this product is not to run 100 miles of wire on a car. The concept is that you run one heavy wire, one ground wire that's clean, and then you put the load center where the loads are. So in some applications, we'll see them used where one controls some engine functions, maybe fans. It might even drive the computers that are used on racing applications. And then on the rear of the car, it might drive the fuel pumps and lights, anything you want it to drive with it. So you put the device close to the load, then you don't have to have a bunch of wiring in the car. It's the same concept as a newer car with CAN bus, where you run power ground and then you've got CAN bus twisted pair, maybe two, and they actually put the control modules close to the load. So like a door module, body module, but this is not CAN bus. The IPDM, which is the big brother to the amp link and the PDM, does have a CAN bus, but this functions sort of like CAN bus, but not so sophisticated. It's very simple.
Yeah, I like the simple part of it. I mean, just looking at the app that you have and the ability to be able to control things via Bluetooth and different things like that. And like you mentioned, just a lot of different things. I mean, you know, people might also be running suit coolers and, you know, different types of lights or different things depending on what their application is. And literally, just how easy it is to hook up the system, number one, how small and discreet it is. And like you said, you know, vibration resistant and all of that. But then whenever you want to add things or however you want to control things and all of that, how easy things are to wire. And I always relate this, you know, for me, you know, if I can do it, then definitely anybody can do it. But also what it's able to take out of the car, like you said, simplifying things and not having to run a bunch of wires to the same place where you can just run, you know, the positive and negative. And when you're doing this, Steve, you can actually set it up to trigger wires as well, right? So, you know, when you actually power up the system, that's when this can power up. Or you also have dedicated wires that can be hot all the time for, say, battery chargers and all of that, right?
That is correct. And you can use it. If you use a battery tender, you can hook that up right through the device, through the amp link. The PDM does not support that. You know, to give you an example of how big of a difference it makes. We haven't spoken about the IPDM very much, but we developed that product to handle 100 amps, and it's got 9 outputs, 9 inputs, CAN bus, and then it's got a Bluetooth redundancy in it. But we put that in an application in a truck manufacturer's experimental vehicle. We eliminated 110 pounds of wire and 76 fuse positions out of the cab. So that's not going to happen on a race car, but it shows what it can do in the way of savings.
Yeah, I like the idea of that, though. I mean, I do think that's a great example. And yes, obviously, compared to a big truck in a race car, how well that works. As far as and again, as you're getting into the automotive side and you've got this in SCCA applications and different applications like this, we were talking yesterday, so many different forms of racing and so many different things that are covered here on EPARTRADE, from stock cars to dirt cars, to drag cars, to road racing, to motorcycles and UTVs and all of those different things. I think you can look at every single form of racing and say, hey, there is something that you have or some things that you have where this would actually be a pretty big benefit to you. And again, especially if you're building something from the ground up, or even if you're not, if you actually want to fine tune things and make a big difference in what you're doing, especially ease of use on a race weekend, the products that you have at Rowe and the power distribution controllers, they seem to make sense. And I think that's what I really like about this, Steve, is that what you're doing makes sense and makes it simple.
That's what it's intended to be, is simple and robust. To give you an example, in a drag racing application, the customer was having problems with relays chattering because of severe tire shake, and the PDMs are fully encapsulated and they're fully solid state. So there's no moving parts in them, and they will survive the extreme tire shake. So, and then again, as they're encapsulated in any other application where you might be in rain, dirt, they're completely impervious to that.
Yeah, that's again, vibration, obviously, heat, you don't want to put it obviously next to a set of headers or anything like that, but just the elements and being able to protect from that. I know you guys are working on some other things as well that you were telling me about yesterday, and sort of a variant of the PDM 60 that is something maybe that's a coming soon type of product that could also help protect your systems also. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we have an expanded version or a new generation of AmpLink in the works that will have CAN bus and expanded inputs and expanded load capabilities. Same packaging. Basically, everything's the same. It just gives the ability to use the system on CAN bus if you wish to. We have a strobe controller that's on the market now. That's all solid state, that uses any LED light. We have a oil pressure monitor that's a little different than anything on the market. Again, very small, encapsulated, monitors the oil pressure, and then it's programmed to interrupt the ignition and the fuel pumps if it detects low oil pressure. So that product is just pre-market right now. It's been tested and it's working, and we're excited to get it out there.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting, especially some of the things to come that we can be looking for. Again, if you have a question, feel free to type it in the chat. We'd love to answer anything that you might want to know about when it comes to what Rowe Electronics has to offer. One thing I like to talk with people about, Steve, is, when you get a customer and, they're thinking about their application and, okay, what do I need? Because you have several different products and different versions of it. Being able to call and talk to you guys and say, okay, here's what I have. Here's what I want to do. How can you get me there? What are some of the things that customers are asking you about when it comes to their applications?
Well, most of it is connections. How do I connect it? Honestly, one of the biggest questions we have is about they're connected with the app and how to use the app with the device to make changes, to assign tags to each output, so it's easy to understand. Can I control my devices, or can I control my equipment with the device through the amp link? And the answer is yes. You can do on off. You can adjust everything on the fly on that device. So a lot of it has to do with load. Some of these fuel pumps take pretty big loads. So we have some ways to get around the limitations on the outputs. And I hate to say it, but sometimes we do have to use a relay. And if it's extreme loads, but mainly just about what can I do with this thing, and how can you help me understand the capabilities of it?
I like the way you say that, the capabilities of it, because they are very capable, especially when you talk about circuit protection, power distribution, and all of that, and just being able to connect this directly to the battery, but you connect your accessories to this. The other thing that I like that you talk about is, even though in some cases you might still need relays, but eliminating fuses, eliminating relays, different things like that. I mean, look, one blown fuse somewhere, can all of a sudden, cause a lot of heartache to your day and a lot of heartache to your time as well. Some of the things that this system is able to take out of the mix, that is really just going to, I almost hate to use the term bulletproof, but in a lot of ways it sort of helps with that, right?
It does. In the case of the amp link, if you have the app up, you can tell instantly which circuit is tripped. And with the PDM, you can look at the LEDs on the device, and it will tell you which circuit is tripped. It will even tell you if the interruption is intermittent, which can be a bugaboo on diagnosing an electrical problem when they come and go. So it's very helpful. Very helpful.
Yeah.
And you don't have to carry any fuses. That's what the motorcycle guys like. The round the world motorcycle riders they love it because they don't have to worry about fuses while they're traveling. If you're an owner, or you're a fleet person that wants to use this device on their vehicles, whether it be a race vehicle or a vocational vehicle, you can set the device up and you can't go around it without going direct to the battery port or a power port. So if you have a dedicated circuit on the amp link or PDM, for accessories that a driver might use, you don't have to worry about someone putting the foil in the fuse or putting a piece of wire in or something.
Yeah, you talking about those nice, quick trackside bypasses for fuses that all of a sudden might actually have the fire and safety crews coming after you somewhere in the middle of the racetrack when they start sparking, those things?
Right, those things. It happens.
Yeah, that's never a good thing. We've talked about a couple of different things, the PDM and the amp link. Can you tell us what the differences are there, and what application I might need for one or the other?
Well, the PDM 60 is the old faithful. It's the one we started with. That was the initial design. It has a 60 amp capacity with 15 amps per circuit maximum. One circuit has an inrush capability to go to 20 amps. If you do the math, that doesn't make sense. 6 circuits times 15, that does not equal 60. But we found that most users don't want to use them at maximum capacity. They'll put a 2 amp on one output. They might put a 5 amp on another, and they might run 2 of them at maximum. And we've got plenty of headroom. The PDM 60 is configured through a dashboard on a Mac or a PC. It's something that's available through our website. The amp link is the big brother the new brother to the PDM 60. 60 amp maximum, 6 outputs, but we step the outputs up to 20 so that you can have more than one maximum, or with the inrush protection. The The amp link is configured through Bluetooth, either as you mentioned, through iOS or Android, and that's downloadable from the app stores. It has a lot more capability than the PDM60 just because of the programming. It has a lot more flexibility, and it gives you the on the go diagnostics that you can look at your device and know what's going on without having to go dig underneath the floor or look under the floor, wherever this PDM60 is installed. So it's just some nice improvements and capacity improvements. So other than that, they're pretty much the same. The PDM60 is a little less costly than the amp link, just by design because of the content. So we have a very loyal following for both, and it just depends on what the application is and what you want.
So when you start talking about being able to dedicate power output to different things, do I need to know that, hey, this needs 2 amps or this needs 10 or this needs 15, whatever it might be, or if what I would probably be more likely to do, just start haphazardly connecting things. Is the system okay for that? What do I need to know when I'm hooking this up?
Well, they come standard or with a standard configuration. And we've got one that's set to 20 or 15 with a 20 inrush on the PDM60. There's 2 15s. I think there's a 5 and a 2 on there. So it's good to know what you want to put on there before you start. The wires are all marked. So if you read the instructions, you can figure out which ones, if you want to put a horn on or something, it takes a lot of juice for a fuel pump. You look up that output, it's marked on the wire and it's color coded, and it's very simple to connect. And they come with connection kits. So nice posi lock connectors. But to get back to your question, it's good to know what you have. But if you want to go fishing, you can hook it up and set it to a lower setting, and you can just keep ratcheting it up till you figure out where it needs to be. That's kind of not the way it's supposed to work, but that you can do that.
Like I said, plenty of people like me that might haphazardly do things. I know we can talk about this in racing applications and everything else, but again, I keep thinking of things that I might want for my tow vehicle or something else like that. If I have need for more power, is there anything stopping me from having 2 of these hooked up and having certain things wired to one and then certain other things wired to the other? Is that okay?
It's done frequently. We've seen as many as 4 of them put on a vehicle to control accessories in the cab and throughout the vehicle.
Yeah, which is really nice because again, just being able to control it, for me, the biggest thing is just the ease of wiring. I love the fact that you do package it with connectors and with different things like that, which just simply helps. And the instructions are simple. I mean, we're talking about just a couple of pages of here's what you do, and then you go for it after that. As you're starting to get some of these, newer customers in, and let's just say, like you said, it's becoming really popular with the SCCA crowd and different things like that. What are some of the things that you're seeing that, maybe as you started branching away from motorcycles, you UTVs and different things like that, are there things that you're seeing that are more just automotive related that especially when maybe you see someone kind of light up a little bit and says, this is exactly what I needed to solve this problem?
Well, actually, that's how the new product, the oil pressure monitor, came to be. Someone saw this device and said, hey, I think you can modify that and make it work for an oil pressure monitor. And so it took us quite a while to build it, but it works. And so that basically spawned an entirely new product. So, and it will end up being a production item soon. So.
That's really cool. Especially the way this goes. Give us a little bit about your background too. I know you guys are Iowa based, but how you got into this?
Well, I'm a farm kid, was a farm kid 100 years ago.
So you're resourceful.
Yeah, I grew up on a progressive farm and did a lot of, I was in the shop from the time I was a small kid, and always was trying to meld electric devices to mechanical devices. And so when I a little later in life, I was involved in an ag business and needed a remote control, and couldn't find what I needed. So I found somebody to help me, and we built one, and then decided that the partnership ended up dissolving because my partner retired, and we ended up, I thought, well, I kind of like this, pretty good gig here. We can make these and I don't have to work outside in the cold, and I can do it anywhere I want. And so here I am 27 years later in Des Moines, Iowa still. And I like to build good stuff. I like to build robust things that have a purpose and help people have a better life, and make their lives easier in work and play. So it's been an interesting journey.
No, it is a really interesting journey, and like I said, I use similar products just for my street use, and it's just I really can't give enough of a good testimonial to what you do and how easy and what a help it is for different things. And as we're going through whatever our journey might be in racing and doing different things, just having something like this on board that you already have some things connected to, and when you need the power distribution and all of a sudden you want to add this, for example, if you want to add a cool suit, if you wanted to add a drink system, if whatever you're doing for racing, you wanted to add some lights or do something like that, that you don't have to think about, okay, what do I have to do for this? What I have to take apart for that? As long as you can run wires somewhere and then mount whatever you need to mount, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's that simple, right?
That is correct. And as we're just at the beginning of the motorsports world, supplying the motorsports world, and how we build things and what our direction really relies on what we hear from people, from input. And so we're always interested. We have done some applications with the cool suits, and so I'm familiar with that. Some air conditioning controls, which I guess it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? The cool suit is the air conditioner, but we're excited to talk to people in motorsports and try and customize this product and develop it to appeal to that audience, and make things easier for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you start thinking about the amount of fans that someone might need on their race car for various things, whatever it might be,
Yes.
to be, cooling brakes, to cooling helmets, to cooling the engine, or different things like that. Custom kits, I know going through the website, you have some custom OEM kits and all of that. What applications are you seeing there? What are people looking for?
People want a PWM fan controller, which is something that we're working on. PWM can be used for a lot of things, but they like a very robust fuel pump controller that we don't have to worry about overloads and relays and any kind of ancillary devices to make the thing work. We need to work on the cool suit application a little bit, because apparently they have some pretty big loads, and still trying to understand that. So that's what we're seeing right now. We started to exhibit at PRI here a few years ago, and we get a lot of input from there. People are still trying to understand what it is, and we're trying to listen and learn about more of that kind of input, so we can customize this further.
Yeah, I think that's really neat. Some of the other products that you have, the RE products, wireless control systems, and I know a lot of that could actually be like farm applications and different things like that. But I also think about things outside of the race car. If you have systems that, maybe I've got a double deck, like a double decker, toter home type system where, I need my lifts or I want to control winches and different things like that. How do you see that potentially helping in the racing world?
I think there's a ton of opportunities there. We have a proven system. It's a 916.5 megahertz system, so it's not bothered by motor noise, hydraulic motor noise that's common with like the lifts that you're speaking of. There's all kinds of applications. We offer them in 3, 6, and 10 function versions. They're very basic systems. They're made for working vehicles. They're robust. They're waterproof, and they just work. It's an older design, but it's very, very robust. So anything that winches works well on. There are a lot of winches out there in motorsports, but things like power awnings and that kind of thing. I really don't know where it would be applicable in the cars themselves, and maybe I'm not looking far enough.
Yeah. Well, no, I just keep thinking, hey, if I roll up to the racetrack and I want to grab a remote and all of a sudden drop my lift gate, because it's
Yep.
hooked up to some type of winch system or whatever it might be. And maybe I have it where, my cars are above me and I need to drop them. And again, I can do all of these things via remote and just simply make it work that way and make things easier for me on race day and maybe even keep my hands a little cleaner for a while.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, again, a lot of these things just simply make sense in our world, from every level, from the time you're loading to the time you're, unloading and loading back again at the end of the day, to be able to cover you with all of the things that you're doing. Kind of circling back to some of the things that we were talking about here at the beginning, Steve, the size of this, that's another thing. I know in all of the different things where you're finding speed, the amount of weight savings that you can have because this is very small. You don't really have to think about, hey, where am I going to put it? Because you're going to have a lot of options because, again, it's a really small system. Obviously, we talk about how easy it is to start hooking things up to and everything, but you're not going to have to worry about this getting vibrated out of anything because everything is all totally enclosed, right?
Correct. It's all encapsulated.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, are always concerned about power and how much power that I'm going to be drawing, and if the power electronically that I'm going to be drawing is going to be power that takes away from the power that I'm trying to produce from my engine, or things like that. Just being able to dial in things very specifically, which to me again seems like a really huge advantage when you're really adding up. Hey, here's what I'm using, and it's all going through this one little system. Again, the simplification of everything is one thing that I really enjoy about this.
It is. That's by design. It's
Yeah.
we intend for it to be simple.
Yeah, I like what we were talking yesterday. It's not a bling product. It's not shiny. It's not, anything like that, but it's something that just simply works. We were talking yesterday too about how easy it is to program some of these things: input, output, time on, time off, and all of that. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, there's in the dashboard, it's simply a point and click. You figure out how you want it to be configured. You go through the outputs, you click on the output, and then you do a drop down, figure out what the amperage is that you want it to trip at, and then you can put in time delays. Do you want it to be delayed on? Do you want it to be delayed off? And then you just work your way down the line on the PDM 60. You can set each one of those outputs separately for a different time delay. The units come with a built-in 7-second time delay, so that when you start your vehicle, that it keeps all the accessories turned off, so that you get full power for your starter. And that's both the AmpLink and the PDM. The AmpLink is a little bit easier on the eyes, a little easier to do as far as the app. You pull down how you want your triggers to work. You have an option of a positive or negative, high or low trigger for your trigger to turn it on, and then you have an input trigger that you can use with whatever you want. Normally open, normally closed, switch, whichever you want. Again, you have the same kind of menu that you click on the output, and you can name the outputs in the app. Go through where do you want it to trip? What do you want for a delay on the front end or the back end? Time on, time off, and then work your way down the line. So it's very simple.
Yeah, it is very simple. I was looking at some of the software as well, and again, just how intuitive it is. And I think that's one of the great things too. In the way you guys designed this, not only did you design a simple product, but you designed a very simple way to use it. I mean, drop down menus, like you said, and just a lot of easy things that I know I have this hooked up to this wire. This is where I find it in the software. This is how I set the parameters, program it, or whatever it might be. It really does make a lot of sense in all of that.
It's very, very, I'd like to make it more intuitive, and we're working on that every day. But it's very simple at this point. We sometimes deal with the user that is completely disconnected from electrical devices, doesn't have any idea. They and we have to make it really easy. We do offer good phone support here. We do answer the phones here, and we're known for good product support. So we welcome calls and try and walk people through anything they need.
Yeah,
any of our products.
Yeah, no, I fall into that category again. There are a lot of things that I've hooked up, and it's one of those that I'm the guy that when the instructions say should take 30 to 45 minutes, 3 hours later, I'm going, okay, I think I have it. But having a whole, just the intelligent power distribution and understanding how it works, it's just a matter of simply hooking it up and then simply hooking other things up to it beyond that. And not just that, like you said, when you hook something up, being able to kind of make your choices of what do I need for this? And then how can I go into either the app or the software, depending on, which system that I'm using, and it works. And again, it's bulletproof. It's a simple system that works that you don't have to think about again until you want to do something else with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like I said,
that's exactly correct. I'm thinking back to the question you asked about one of the most frequent questions that we do get here that escaped me was about extending the power line, the power wire. And in our instructions, it explicitly says that don't extend this power wire without calling us, because it's engineered for maximum current under underhood temperatures. And, we've tried to cook in everything we can to make sure that we don't have a problem. And that is probably the most common question that we have. The wire's not long enough. Can we make it longer? And so we oftentimes will help people with what they want to do to modify it and give them the calculations for the right gauge of wire, what kind of wire to use. So sorry, I'm getting off track.
Yeah, no, but that makes sense. Again, without understanding what other people's applications might be, it completely makes sense that, hey, I mean, look, this thing can fit almost anywhere. But your products can, but I might have a reason to want to do this or put it way over here or do something like that, which is interesting. Some of the other things that people might run into along the way, again, you start talking about questions like, hey, how do you solve my problem? And I know you have great troubleshooting guide on the website and everything else, Steve, but some of the problems that people run into that, it just takes a little explaining or problem solving in the case of what you're saying with longer wires. What are some of the other things you hear?
Mostly has to do with the timeouts, maybe getting a little bit confused with setting those, or we have an always on option. in the controls. The amp link actually has an always on lead on it so that you can hook your battery tender up, or if you want to hook up a phone charger or something else that you need power to all the time. It has a dedicated line out for that. But the PDM60 offers a always on option, and sometimes things will get people will try and make a match that doesn't work, or make a recipe that doesn't work in the app. And that's what we're working on, is the fail safes, to make kind of like you can't you can't overcommit the device, because it won't let you. When you get to 60, it won't let you change the values of anything unless you go down. So you have to you got to move things around or go down somewhere if you want to change a value of it, because when you get to 60, too bad. The PDM60 will allow you to go to 20 amps on the 115 amp output, but that's by design for inrush. So that's probably one of the most common things that happens.
Yeah, and again, positive, negative to the battery. You have trigger wires, so you can set these to turn on with other things, right? I mean, then outside of that, it's just plugging in what you need. Correct?
That's it. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. And like I said, from my own experience in using similar products, this is just such a problem solver and makes things so easy. And Steve, I just, I hope a ton of people start calling you, because I think it's something that just is a great solution for sometimes something that people didn't even realize they did need until they get it. And now it becomes something they can't live without.
Well, we'd love to hear from them. So we love to build these things.
Awesome. Chrissy?
Thank you very much, Steve, and great presentation. And again, those webinars are all about education. So we have been recording this webinar. It will be posted later on the EPARTRADE platform, distributed through our newsletter, through our social media channel. Thank you very much for being with us today. We also push Steve's product back on the homepage of the EPARTRADE platform. So please go to EPARTRADE and take advantage of it. You can connect with Rowe Electronics and Steve's team right there. And we will take a break next week because of the 4th of July. So we won't be live next Wednesday, but we'll be back on the 12th with Fragola, and we're going to be talking performance plumbing. So again, thank you very much for being with us today. Please take advantage again of the EPARTRADE platform. It's open 24/7, 365 out there, and it's available from anywhere you are in the world, and you can connect with Rowe Electronics right there. So thank you very much, and we'll see you guys back live in 2 weeks. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
EPARTRADE is a digital platform that we've created basically to make life easier in the business community of auto racing.
EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier.
When you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information, and then from there it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Land speed record holder George Poteet's Speed Demon rocketed 481 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. You don't go that fast without ARP fasteners.
There is no way that we could go the speed that we've gone, the number of times we've gone, with a lesser quality bolt than ARP supplies to us. And we absolutely wouldn't be where we were today if it weren't for ARP.
When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
I'm Michael Cruz, owner and operator of Got Mechanic LLC. Whether we're out in the field or whether we're in the bay, me and my guys are able to actually go into parts procurement and be able to pull up these prices for our parts and use the parts matrix to actually get a profit off of these parts on the fly. Parts procurement makes it even better just with being able to get in contact with my local retailers.